How good of an investment is Pokemon? Really? Many of you have probably seen Pokemon in the news recently. Booster pack prices are soaring, single prices are soaring, booster box prices are soaring. You might see people fist fighting in front of GameStop, choking each other out inside of Costco. So what's the big deal? What are they even fighting over? Is Pokemon really that good of an investment? Well, that's the question for today's video. How good of an investment is Pokemon compared to other asset classes? What's going on, guys? My name is Riley, aka Pokemon Trader. I'm a collector and investor. I've been doing it for the past 12 years, since 2014 or so, and I've been doing it longer than 99% of other people in the space. And I know that 95% of you are not subscribed. So if you appreciate what I'm doing, if this video is informative in any way or entertaining, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. And if you subscribe, once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will be ripping this Evolving Skies booster box live on this channel. So give me a like and subscribe. The question for today is, how good of an investment is Pokemon really? Is it really everything it's touted to be? I'll start off with the short answer, and I'll follow it up with all of my reasoning for it and why I think Pokemon is such a good investment compared to every other asset class. The short answer is yes, it really is that good of an investment. Pokemon as an IP has been going now for 30 years. It started in 1996 in Japan, and it came to the United States in 1999. I was 8 at the time, so I was the perfect age, perfect demographic for collecting Pokemon cards. The cards came out first, then the Game Boy game or the show. Actually, I don't fully remember the order, but something like that. It completely swept the nation in the late 90s and continued on into the early 2000s. And Pokemon has been going strong ever since. As you can see here, it is by far the highest grossing IP in the history of the world. And it's not even close, far outclassing other major IPs like Star Wars, Hello Kitty, Mickey Mouse, and even Winnie the Pooh. So clearly Pokemon has been around for a long time. It has a storied history. It is a beloved IP. But how does it compare to other asset classes like traditional stocks, index funds, or real estate? Well, let's first take a look at a couple of stock prices and index funds. The S&P 500, starting back in 1999, was about $1,350, soaring in price over the next 27 years up to $6,932. That is about a 415% return over the past 27 years. Now, that's pretty good, but of course, it's an index fund. It's not just a single stock, which can have higher risk volatility, but also carry higher potential gains. So what about a blue chip stock like Microsoft or Nvidia? Well, for Microsoft, back in 1999, it was roughly $46, soaring to a height 27 years later of $401. That is roughly a 770% gain. That's pretty great for pushing 3 decades. Now, of course, for something like Nvidia, pretty much no other investment is ever going to compare to a stock like this if you bought it back in 1999, which most people didn't. And if you did, you probably sold it from sometime between then and now. If you did purchase an Nvidia stock back in 1999 at roughly 4 cents a stock, you would be looking at each individual stock being worth now about $185, which is a 462,000% gain. And I'll just be real honest with you, no Pokemon product is going to do that good. All right, so let's just take a quick look at some other stock prices, index funds. So Vanguard, if you bought back in 2010, as you can see here, was about $101, soaring to $635. That's about a 500% increase. QQQ, if you bought in 1999, was about $53, coming up to $609 today, which is a 1,050% increase. So what about Pokemon? Well, if you were transported back to 1999 and picked up a Pokemon sealed base set booster box, you would have been able to get it for about $80 to $90, depending on the timing that you picked it up at. And this is unlimited, not the first edition. If you bought that for about $80 to $90, it is now selling for over $35,000. Depending on which auction house you look at or which recent sales you're looking at, that is about a 46,000% increase in 27 years. That outperforms every other stock investment other than Nvidia over the last 3 decades. But what about the more modern sets? Those surely are garbage. They're overprinted. They can't hold value. Well, let's take a look at Team Up. It came out just a mere 7 years ago in 2019. And again, just like the base set booster box, when a set first comes out, it typically is really cheap. You would have been able to easily pick up a Team Up booster box for $80 to $100. These booster boxes are now selling for a whopping $10,000. That is a 12,400% increase in value in just 7 years. Even Nvidia can't do that. Now, of course, not every set does quite this well. There are really bad sets. There are overprinted sets. There are sets that the community just doesn't really care about because the cards in them are not that great. But even this booster box, which is largely considered the worst Pokemon set of all time, and for good reason, this set is Emerging Powers, and like I said, it is one of the worst sets, if not the worst set of all time. So just like all the other booster boxes, if you would have gotten it right when it came out in the first couple of years, you could have picked it up for $80 or even less because it was so awful. And this, the worst set of all time, is still selling for $4,000 to $5,000 a mere 15 years later. Even for the worst set, that is still roughly 5,500% increase on your initial investment. So hopefully this helps, guys. There is a long history to Pokemon investing, whether it be in singles or sealed boxes. The prices for Pokemon are soaring. It's been around just as long as many of these modern companies, longer than many of these newer tech companies, and performs just as well, if not much better than all of them. Thanks for watching, guys. If you appreciate what I'm doing, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. That's about it. Peace.